All right, g'day everyone. Gavin Lance Top here. I'm here with an amazing man from WA, Mathew Anderson. He's a business owner. He's a farmer. He's a world changer. I've had the pleasure to have him involved in our Man Alive experience for quite a while now, and I consider him not just he's a friend. He's a friend, and he even beat me up one time in the boxing ring. It was amazing. I loved it. But hey, mate, thanks for jumping on today. Can I just ask you, what was life like prior to the Man Alive experience?
Okay, thanks, Gav. Thanks for the intro, mate. Before I joined up, I had a cyclone go through our property, and that really pushed me over the edge. And I was looking at a way through it, and I couldn't see a way through. So what I was going through, Gavin, it was like a game of chess for me. A game of chess where there was just my king and a pawn and a bishop, and it was like every move I made, I was checked out. Okay. Every move I made, and I was taking the next best move, and it wasn't enough. It was affecting me. It was affecting my life. It was affecting my family and everything I did, and it was a sad place. I was living in the past, and I was really worried about the future and poisoning myself with alcohol, and that was my medicine that was making me sicker. Yeah.
Because, mate, you say that, right? Because and that's how, obviously that was how it was for you. But many people would look at you and say, Matt, he's got his property, he's got the caravan, he's got all these things, he's got a great wife, he's doing well.
Exactly. I think me and a lot of men build things up around them, and they compensate. I felt that I was compensating for the life that I created myself. I was compensating for all the things that were missing, and what was missing in it was me.
Yeah,
I was what was missing in my life. I had all them things, and I would, I would probably show off on the booze and look at me, and I was self-centered and self-focused.
Yeah.
I wasn't helping anyone because I couldn't help myself.
Yeah. And then how did you get started? What happened? You're in WA. I'm on the other side of the country, thousands of miles away. What happened?
This is a great story. This was going back a few years ago, and I'd been on Facebook, and I saw this the rite of passage for the modern man. I saw this book cover, and the picture of it really intrigued me. It was there was an indigenous painted face, and I was like, who is this Gavin Top? And I'm so glad I know who he is now, but who is this Gavin Top? And what is this book about? The rite of passage for the modern man. And it really intrigued me. And I looked into it, and life went on. And then I wasn't searching for anything, and then hey, you popped up again. The rite of the Man Alive experience. Okay, yeah. So, and this other book popped up, and I went, there he is again. And I thought, what is this book? I went to bookshops. I searched online. Yeah. I rang other bookshops, ABC shops. I said, has anyone heard of this book? And I'm trying to find this book of yours, yeah? And I thought, I've got to find this book. And this was after the cyclone that really buried me in I was in a pit. I bottomed out by then. I really did. And it was like it found me, and I just said, how do I find this book? And I remember sending a message via Messenger, and I said, Gavin Top, interested in your book. I think I said something like, I don't want an ebook. I just want a copy of your book. I need to read this book. How do I purchase it? Can I purchase it directly from you? And you rang me up. You rang me up the next day. And you went, what's going on? And I said, well, I just wanted to read your book. And he said, nah, mate. He said, nah. He said, I'm going to book a call with you. And there's no mucking around, right? And you just get on it. And we just did that call. I was out the farm. We did that brief call. That was wow, I remembered it. It was tough. It was like stepping, you know what it was like? It was like being in a war trench. You know, I just had my head up. And I'm going, I don't know what's going to happen here, you know. Geez, I'm glad I took that move, Gav.
Yeah.
Mate,
so mate, and it was great because sometimes it takes a tremendous amount of courage to just, like you say, get on the phone or get on Zoom or, mate, what was the best thing, I suppose, you got from that first call, what happened?
Well, I think what it took was a push for me. It was a poke in the chest and it was a push because I knew I needed to do something about what I was going through. It took a time to knock me out to get me to the point where you came in and just poked me in the chest and you pushed me. You pushed me, said, look, let's just make this happen. We can do it. And you said, you can do it. And I hadn't heard anyone, you know what? I haven't heard anyone probably in my whole life to tell me that, Matty, you can do it.
Yeah.
And that was the start of me believing that there's a cure for this. There's an end to this. There's going to be a better me. Yeah. Just knowing there was someone had my back, knowing someone cared.
Yeah. No, mate, awesome, mate.
No,
so good. And mate, there's going to be, I'm just, by the way, for everyone that's watching and looking, can we give this man some encouragement? He's bearing his heart, he's bearing his soul, he's going all in. Oh, mate, awesome. And so what was, what got you started? Like, did I say anything, mate, you know, through this Man Alive experience, you know, how's that taken place? What's it been like from the starting it to now even?
Starting off was the start of a you know, I knew it was going to be, I didn't know it was going to be a life-changing adventure, but I was really keen on getting in and learning more. Yeah. And I could see changes almost instantly in me, but there were some areas where I just completely dropped out. There was things around fatherhood. There was things around trauma in the start of the program that we went through. There's some videos in Kajabi of yours in the early part of it. I really, really dropped out because my past trauma, it just brought back something that I'm like, no, I'm not going there. And it was, but it didn't matter because bit by bit, I've readdressed it. I've done some learning and some literature and having friends and use men around me and you around me that cared. Yeah. I've looked back into my past and I'm finding that it is a big part of, it's going to be maybe a big part of my future. It's made me the man I am. I didn't know I was playing the victim. Yeah. And when you're playing the victim, you're going nowhere. You're not aiming to be the man you want to be. The victim mentality is just holding you back. And when I stopped playing the victim, I knew, well, I was improving. Yeah. I was improving so I could look back on trauma and look back on my past experience, and like you teach, Gav, is, you know, like the worst thing that have ever happened to you, you know, will be your biggest strength. Yeah. And I'm grateful that I'm a lot more grateful now than I've ever been. Yeah. I'm looking back at my past now, and I think I don't resent it anymore. Yeah. I don't play the victim. I feel as if it didn't make me, and I'm sort of glad, because I didn't know any other way. I'm sort of glad that it happened,
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense, because if you heard my story, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I sort of am glad that it happened, because I believe in myself now more.
Yeah. And I suppose, mate, as you've gone through, you know, the Man Alive experience with, like you say, the videos on Kajabi, the Zoom calls, the men in the group, even, you know, like the rite of passage, the 3 days that we do when we all come together, mate, what's, I suppose, been a highlight for you? And the accountability groups. I mean, yeah, there's a lot in it, but what's been a bit of a highlight?
You know what? The biggest highlight is getting out of your comfort zone and getting into the unknown and finding out there's so much more in me. Yeah. There's so much more in all these other men. To see them grow,
yeah,
and change at a rapid rate too. Yeah. What has happened to me and a lot of these men has taken 50, 40, 30, 70 years to happen, and then all of a sudden it only takes, it could be weeks or months, and they're just wacko. They just change straight away. I've changed really rapidly, and there's a lot more to go. The biggest change in me is breaking through the confidence wall. And I think it's this, Gav. I think it's the confidence wall where you've got to get on and go live.
Okay.
Get on. Just don't think about it. Press live and just do a video, and you're not worried about what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
And then straight away you play it back to yourself.
Yeah.
And you go, hey, that's not so bad after all. You know?
Yeah.
It's a paradigm, because you get out of your comfort zone. You get out. You tell the world about you. Tell the world how you want to be seen, and believe in yourself. Change the way you're thinking. Change.
And I mean, mate, you've done, you know, like you say, you've had some highs and lows. You checked out a little bit early days. But mate, you've done the work though. You know, you've turned up, like, for example, even when we do once a week, you know, that early morning call that we do, that's really early for you over in WA. And I just love the commitment, mate, that you turn up and you do it, because it's early. It's like 3 a.m. in the morning in WA. And of course, you're reaping the rewards. I mean, we can talk about so many different rewards from the work that you're doing. But mate, I love one of the ones, lately, about when you made a decision to stop drinking. Mate, can you tell the other people watching about that?
Yeah. So first up, getting up early. I've made it a habit now. I've changed my structure around them days. Yeah. And I get up at 2:30. It's a habit for me now. Get up. I know I have to do it. It's something that I've told myself. It's more like an oath now. Yeah. Something that's got to be done. Yeah. And speaking of oaths, I made an oath. And the oath was when you said on a Zoom meeting one morning, you said, what's the one thing that's holding you back? Yeah. And I knew what it was. I knew it was the alcohol that was holding me back. It was my medicine that was making me sick. And I gave it away. I made an oath. I made your oath, actually, not ever, and no negotiation. Yeah. And I signed it. Put it on the fridge. Yeah. And then I started to get better. And then with doing that and with the Man Alive experience, I've grown into me. Like I've knocked 30 years off my life. Yeah. So I've grown back into me, and I eventually got my wife to give up the cigarettes. She was it was killing her. Yeah. 38 years she smoked for. Wow. And I worked out, I know, it's a long time. I worked out that the cost of the cigarettes and the booze was the difference in purchasing another property with absolutely no money spent. not a cent. And I've heard about investors using equity in homes, and I've never understood it. I'm thinking, is this possible? And I was thinking, we're saving so much money. It was like $200 to $250 a week.
Yeah.
And, on piss and smokes, yeah. So, so I went and seen the real estate agent, and we started looking around, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to see if this works, and the bank says it's possible, and then we looked at buying a property. I thought, well, let's just jump in and do this with no fear. I had no fear.
Yeah.
So jumped in, signed up, bought a house. The difference in the rent, and all the rates, with the tax breaks, and all the depreciation, that $250 a week, I think we can get another one. So that's the difference in money. Just with the money I save, so I've improved my health, and I've improved my wealth.
And it's just amazing because, you know, you're sowing seed now in your health, in your mindset, but now you've been able to direct that into your, you know, building wealth also, more so than what you've already been able to accumulate. So in actual fact, those no cigarettes and smoke will be worth about $1 million in about 8 or 10 years. How good is that?
Yeah, no, it is. It's when you think of it like that, you do look back and you think, how much has it actually costed you in the past? And you can't have regrets. All you can do is start now. You just change your mind and start now. And that's what I find I'm doing now. I start my day every day from where I'm standing. If I can, my frequency's above courage. If I can match the reality that I'm after, and with the frequency, I can't help not to get that reality. It's just, what is that? It's perspective.
Mate, it's changing your world, and then it's changing other people's worlds. And I love, mate, that your wife stopped smoking cigarettes because you're leading the way. You know, and I think a lot of maybe husbands and wives can, like you say, when you've got a victim's mentality, and then all of a sudden you start leading the way. I don't know. You would remember me saying, man, everyone around you is going to improve. You know, when you get better, everything else will get better, and it's great to see that it's happening, mate, in the flesh. It's amazing, and mate, there's going to be a lot of men that watch this and think, man, maybe I'm drinking too much, or maybe I want to build some more wealth, or maybe, like you say, a cyclone, because there's cyclone. You actually had a real cyclone, but you know, everyone has a cyclone in their own way. And the wind's gone out of their sails. I mean, what would you say to those men?
Well, if you take on the victim mentality, that's what's going to make you drink. That's what made me drink. Was that? But and going forward, when you get knocked around, you can't do it alone. You know, you've got to reach out for help. You can't do it alone. You don't have to do it alone.
No. And
when you do reach out and take that step, don't think you're going to get it wrong either. Because you're not going to get it wrong. Every step in any direction from where you are now is the right step in the right direction. You've just got to choose. And it just comes down to a choice. Make the change by just making the choice. And it grows from there. Everything grows from there.
Mate, I know you're going to get back to the farm. I know you got a lot on. Mate, I want to say a massive, really a thank you for you guys that are listening and they're inspired. Can we leave him a great comment? Give this bloke some encouragement. You're doing great, mate. You're really becoming a leader in the group of men, you know, men doing the Man Alive experience. And it's purely just by taking action, you know, which obviously takes courage. So, mate, you're doing great. But, hey, you know, maybe you might be like Matt and think, oh, jeepers, maybe one phone call with me, with one of the coaches, one phone call could just change everything. So, Matt, thanks again. Last words, mate. What would you love to say going out?
You're one of the best things that's ever happened to me, Gav.
Oh.
You and your family and the men involved in this, you're one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Hands down, mate. I love you.
Mate. God bless you, mate. Thank you. Over and out, everyone.
Thanks, man. Cheers.